Hi, this is Matt. This is mental model number 16. Today we're going to talk about the OODA loop by a guy named John Boyd. The OODA loop is actually a military tool developed by this brilliant guy, John Boyd. Boyd was a really fascinating guy. I recommend reading his biography called Boyd. And turning edges into nodes, by the way, which we talked about a few episodes ago. If you look at his career, every career jump he made was doing the same thing, was turning edges into nodes. But let's talk about the OODA loop right now. So the OODA loop has four stages. The first stage is observe. You're taking in information from the environment. Second stage is orient. You're using your mental models and experiences to understand what you see. The third stage is decision. You're using that analysis to decide what to do. And the fourth step is action, where you actually enact that plan. And then again, this is a loop because once you act, you're getting feedback from your environment, you're making new observations, and you go through the whole thing again. So just using this as a framework for making decisions when you're going through and you're making a big decision for a company or for an organization or for your life. I think just going through these and having the tools for orient, and having the tools for observation, having the tools for decision, and having the tools for action are powerful. And sort of going through, okay, I'm going to apply these tools and these tools and these tools and these tools. That's a good way to use the OODA loop, but it's not the most powerful uh, sort of way to think about this. I think where the OODA loop is really powerful is that John Boyd was a military guy, right? This was made for military decision making. And when you're making decisions in the military, you always have an adversary. The adversary has their own OODA loop. You have your OODA loop, and these OODA loops are kind of playing against each other. So what Boyd said was that the way to defeat an adversary, and this sort of echoes some of Sun Tzu's principles, is you actually want to get inside the enemy's OODA loop. So there's a few ways to do that. Now, the easiest way to get inside the enemy's OODA loop is to just go through the OODA loop faster than them. So you want to go from observation to action. If you can go just a little bit faster than your adversary, but make the same quality decisions, then eventually they're gonna get stuck in the loop because by the time they get to the act stage, the observations will have changed, and so they can either act on the wrong information or they have to go back to the observe stage. So you can kind of get them stuck in the loop the faster you go with the same quality decisions. Sort of the earlier in the loop you can get them stuck. And so that's one way you could do this. Um, the other way you could do this is try to get inside their OODA loop, is try to fool their OODA loop. So you know they're observing, orienting, deciding, and acting, and you can present information to them that will make them act in the way that you want, and sort of be the fog of war. You can give them the information that makes them act in the way. Now you have to know sort of how they orient, and you have to be very careful about the observations that you make. So the really interesting thing here, when you start talking about getting inside their OODA loop in those two ways, is that they are trying to do the same thing to you. So they're trying to get in your OODA loop, and you're trying to get in their OODA loop, and and so it sort of it can recurse up to this, right? You can go as many levels deep as you want with this, where you know that I know that you know that I know, and so therefore, how is what I'm doing related to my actual strategy? Right? That's a good question. So the question is, how do you sort of get uh, the edge there? How do you know what to do in that situation when you have an adversary who's thinking at that level, who's thinking different levels deep, and how do you know how to act in that situation? So a good rule of thumb here from this book, The Art of Strategy, who looked into a lot of the research into this, is that most people think 2 or 3 levels deep. So if you're dealing with the average person, what you probably want to do is try and realize that their OODA loop is gonna. So think about your first level, think about their first level, your second level, their second level, and then you want to go level 3 or 4. Okay, so you want to be one level above them, and most people are going to be 2 or 3 levels deep. Now, there's some really interesting tie-ins here with both the speed and with this recursive getting inside people's OODA loop with AI research. Specifically, some of the research MIRI, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, has been doing into reflective oracles and logical inductors. So, what reflective oracles were they were my understanding was that they were using computation theory to give a basis for mixed strategies. So a mixed strategy is when I'm going to do something, one strategy 70% of the time, the other strategy 30% of the time, and it's just random. And what this does is prevents them from going a level higher in the OODA loop because no matter which strategy I take, they still take the same action. That's in Nash equilibrium. Okay. So reflective oracles sort of give a basis for that. And then we've got logical inductors. And logical inductors start to take into account computation time, where the I don't know all the facts, and I have to take some sort of balance between computing what I want to know and taking what I know right now. So logical induction. What are the logical facts that I can actually compute right now and the time it takes me to go through this OODA loop? And again, it comes up with an equilibrium strategy where no matter what you've computed at that point, you always make the best decision in a Nash equilibrium so that you can't be taken advantage of. So there's some real interesting tie-ins here, and I'm really curious to see if any of the reflective oracle or logical inductor stuff leads to practical applications for going through the OODA loop. Anyway, start using the OODA loop. Start thinking about the speed of your OODA loop compared to your competitors or who you're going against, and start thinking about how you can get inside other people's OODA loops. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time.